Hey, guys, welcome back.
What's up?
Kevin jumps in right on time.
We've made it.
Corey, how are you, bud? Good to see you. Sorry,
Good, man.
I was just hopping on here. We should change your name to the Iceman. It's I'm gonna dig into this. Like, forget real estate. I got better things to talk about. Good to have you on. Good to see you. This one, guys, is gonna be a big episode. I've known Corey now for a few years. We met in Nashville at John Martinez event years ago. Originally, and then you've literally I remember you were doing it was kind of amazing. Like, we talk about going all in, right? And when I think about going all in, I think that's kind of what I would say you did. And this is, we haven't spoke about this, it's just from seeing you on social media, things like that. I mean, we've hung out at different events, but it was pretty amazing. From, you used to do dealing and stuff, right? Like poker.
I was a blackjack dealer.
And I remember you leaving your job. I remember it. And you did a video and you're like, you were going all in, and you've literally gone all in and doing amazing things, tons of deals nationwide. We're going to come on to all of that. And it's just been good. So I think people are going to get a lot of knowledge on the creative deals you're doing, but also, you know, applying yourself and kind of going all in, which was pretty amazing.
Corey, tell us a little bit about, you know, back in the day when you were blackjack dealing. What was going through your mind, man?
All kinds of stuff, bro. So like, so I was a blackjack dealer for 17 years, man. I got way too complacent in that job just because it was it was an easy job, you know, working 6 hours a night, making 140 grand a year because you make a lot of money from tips. It's very similar to being like a bartender. And, you know, it's the party lifestyle. So I just got way complacent. But the one thing I was able to do throughout dealing blackjack was save up some money. And so I had like, you know, 150 grand saved up. And the girlfriend at the time knew I had this money saved up. And we used to watch Flip or Flop all the time with Tarek Al-Musa. And, you know, one of these times, she was a part-time realtor also. And then she was part-time blackjack dealer. And we're watching the show one night and she's like, why don't you flip a house so I can list it? And I was like, I don't know. Why don't I flip a house? It looks easy enough. 30 minutes, I make $80,000. You know, this could be the thing I could do with my, as a side hustle with my money I have. Literally the next morning, I'm running around the neighborhood on my morning run, and I see one of those signs that says, fix and flip, buy price 250, ARV 350 or something like that. I stopped on my run, called that phone number, bought the house, took me 6 months, and I made $8,000. So it was, have you guys heard of New Western Realty? Not New Western, Net Worth Realty.
Yeah.
It was from those guys. They're the Nationwide, similar to New Western. And that was my very first deal I ever did. And since then, I did a second deal. I started going to local RIAs, bought a second deal, made 20 grand on a flip from a local wholesaler. Third deal, I bought 4 houses all at once. Kind of thought I knew what I was doing. Of course, I didn't. I didn't vet the new contractor we brought on board for those four houses, and he took us to the cleaners. And I had a partner at the time, and we lost $250,000 on those 4 houses. It was a bad learning lesson. So it reset me back to zero. I was still working in the casino, fortunately, so I was still bringing in money. So I was still able to eat and, you know, do what I you know, pay for my living expenses. But I was like, I had no more money for real estate. So I literally Googled how do wholesalers get deals, and freaking Sean Terry popped up. And I bought his course, and that was kind of the introduction into my whole real estate journey.
So what made you, from being in Arizona, right? As we, you know, a lot of us teach, I know you're nationwide now, but you know, previous to that, you know, we would teach, or I won't speak for everyone else. Like, it's sometimes better to be narrow, focused in a market, dominate, get wins, all of them things. So at what point are you like thinking, okay, I'm in Arizona, I'm doing deals. What was the tipping point, or what was your decision to go nationwide originally? Like,
good question. So, you know, I scaled up the local model to like 5 to 10 deals a month. And at that point, you know, we're doing a bunch of cold calling. I actually created a call center in my living room. So I put a bunch of cubicles in my living room, and I hired college kids to come in and cold call for me. in my house, locally. And so I was constantly on the road all day long, going to belly to belly with all the sellers. And I had this call floor cranking out of my living room, bringing me in leads to close. And what the switch was is I was having a hard time scaling past that. It was that 5 to 10 deals a month, just kind of, I was making money, but I just couldn't scale past it. And by being involved in all these masterminds that I'm in, I started meeting people who were doing the nationwide model. One person that you guys probably know is Nick Perry. Yeah. And I became really good friends with him. And then Sean Terry also moved over to the nationwide model. And he actually called me up and asked me to be part of his mastermind. And so I started, just hearing about it from other people and masterminds. I was like, okay, maybe this is a solution to really scaling. Now that I got the local model down, let's try turning on the gas and going nationwide. And so we did that in the beginning of last year. Made a huge mistake. I would never recommend anybody turning on a nationwide model and turning off what they're doing locally. That's paying the bills, right, and keeping them fed. And that's what I did, man. I moved into an office. I got rid of the call center, and I turned on PPC and did this whole nationwide model. And we didn't know how to move deals nationwide, and I didn't know how to run PPC very well. So literally, I ran deep in the red for 3 months. The first month, I lost $70,000 because of payroll and PPC. We couldn't move deals. The second month was like $50,000, and then $30,000 I lost. And then we started catching some traction and started running in the green. But it was tough, man. If I didn't have some money that stashed away in the bank, I would have went bankrupt. I had a lot of sleepless nights, and that's because I turned off my local model. So I recommend anybody who is flirting with going nationwide, do not turn off what's already working. Keep that going, and then just make this a small arm of your business and slowly scale it up as you're learning it.
It goes back to you going all in, I guess, right?
Sometimes, man, I hurt myself by
yeah, but I guess you live and learn, and that's why I know you're teaching as well now, but these are the experiences that we all have. And this is what we give to all of our clients that work with us, because we're making these mistakes. And now you've just given solid advice. Don't do it, because here's why. It costs you 150 grand learning curve over 3 months, because that's what you did. So when you teach it, as you've just dropped there, don't do it. And here's why. So that's really good. So tell us, I'm interested, and sorry guys if I'm dominating these questions here, but I'm really interested because we've not had anyone on this show talk about novation. We get the question and we answer it as best as we can, but we're not doing it. So we're like, hey, we think it works like this, but give us a rundown. Like, what is it? How's it work? Like, let's break it down. And
for sure. And I'll start with a little bit how I kind of got into it. So one of the pain points we had going nationwide, especially with the way I do PPC, is we were getting a lot of these leads that were rural. And we'd get them, for pennies on the dollar, but we were having problems selling them because there was no investor activity, or not very much investor activity in that market. But there was MLS activity. So it was like, man, how do I move these deals that are in rural areas that we can't get investor buyers on? And so I was literally in a mastermind, and I was out in Florida. It was the 7-figure wholesaling mastermind with Joe Dillon. And I was in that mastermind. There was a guy named there, Gabe Garcia. I'll give him credit because he's the first one that ever introduced me to this model. And he was talking about how he made like 2.2 million last year, and over 1 million of that was novations. And he presented it in his whole presentation. And I was like, what the heck is this? And just from his presentation, the lights went on in my head. I was like, oh my God, I could apply this to my nationwide model, and it would fix the pain point of these rural deals that there's MLS activity in, but there's not a lot of investor buyers. So what I did is, after I learned it from him, I was like, well, I want to reach out to other people in the industry who are doing this to see if I can kind of pick out pieces of how this works. And I did. So there's another guy named by Eric Brewer who's doing it. Corey Boatwright's doing it. A guy named Richard out of Tennessee that's doing it. So I went and literally learned from all these different people, picked out a piece that I liked, and compilated my own little, setup of how I do these nationwide novations. So, and it has been amazing because you're able to lock up deals for higher cents on the dollar. So you're able to pay more for your properties. where a lot of these leads people are just throwing away, or they might be pitching, you know, creative financing like seller carry or sub 2, where the novation model works well for them and they're able to receive their money in 2 to 3 months instead of over like 10, 20, or 30 years. And so we're able to lock up deals that are tighter, and then we're able to move deals in markets that, you know, you don't have investors in, because you're using the MLS as your main buyer pool. And as we all know, MLS is the biggest buyer pool in the United States, right? This is like how I sell my fix and flips. And so it fixed a lot of pain points in our business on the Nationwide model. And so now, I mean, every deal that comes across our plate, like my sales agents are instructed, you need to get novation paperwork on every single deal. So that way in the dispo room, we'll decide exactly how we're going to dispo the deal, whether we're going to, you know, sell it just for cash, or maybe we might sell it for cash or conventional, depending on how many repairs that we got to do. Or if it's a really good house, we'll sell it for cash, conventional, FHA, and VA financing on the MLS. So it has fixed a lot of issues in our company. So I think I'm one of the first ones doing it nationwide, but I'm definitely not one of the first ones who really, you know, really implemented the model and perfected it.